Some shallow-witted fellow may say, if the patient must keep large distance, then he must be driven to go back still. To which I answer that in the continual motion and traverses of his ground, he is to traverse circularly, forwards and backwards, upon the right hand and upon the left hand, the which traverses are still a certainty to be used within himself, and not to be prevented by the agent. Chapter 4 of the short single sword fight against the like weapon, brief instructions upon my paradoxes of defense, by George Silver. If he charge you upon the open or the True Gardant fight, if you will answer him with the like, and keep your distance, and let your gathering be always to fight toward his right side, so shall you with your sword choke up any blow that he can make at you, from the which ward you may strike him on the right or left side of his head, or thrust him in the body. Chapter 5 of diverse advantages that you may take by striking from your ward at the sword fight. Brief instructions upon my paradoxes of defense, by George Silver. Greetings, fencers of the interwebs. My name is William Kilmer, Will or Bill to most. My pronouns are he, him, and his, and I fence at Worcester Historical Swordsmanship in Worcester, Massachusetts, in the United States. Do you have a moment to talk about the true fight of George Silver? This is going to be a relatively short video showcasing a section of the live stream that occurred December 19th and 20th, depending on time zone, of 2020. In this excerpt, you will hear the panelists discussing how or whether the movement of the true fight of George Silver should be adapted when facing a left-handed opponent. What was not discussed, because I forgot to ask the question, is how a left-handed fencer should approach fighting in the style of George Silver. Because this discussion occurred during the second half of the live stream, after some participants had to leave, two members of the panel from whom I would very much like to hear were not present. Nathan Barnett, and especially Paul Wagner, who is a natural left-hander, though he fences ambidextrously, because of course he is a coach and instructor. This is not merely academic to me. My son, who is, especially during the current lockdown, my most frequent practice partner, is left-handed. So any information or suggestions about how I should deal with fencing Michael, or how Michael might more effectively deal with fencing me using George Silver's true fight, or fighting against other right-handed fencers, will be of great interest. I am hoping that Nathan and Paul and any of the rest of you who have thoughts or experiences on this subject will enter the discussion, either in the comments below or on the George Silver Society Facebook page, or if possible, reply with videos of your own. If such videos go up, I will link them in the description below as soon as I am aware of them. So, now let's hear from our panel. I find that fencing a left-hander, I want to gather to his outside, which means I'm moving to my right, his left. But I think that's the principle, right? You're gathering toward the outside line of the opponent.
Left-handers are always
left-handers are always an issue because, you know, according to Silver, they don't exist. But I find them. Well, he says absolutely zero. Saviolo's, you know, who's Silver's contemporary, has a whole chapter on left-handers. But as far as Silver's concerned, that left-handers, just don't even exist. I did what you're saying for quite a number of years, And I just about 2 years ago, I started. If I'm in Gardant, I'll constantly circle to my left, regardless of whether I'm up against a right or a left-hander. One of the things I think is really important in silver is the sort of universality of movement. So rather than in a lot of fencing systems, it's like, okay, if they attack here, move this way. If they attack there, move that way. And silver's just move to the same spot, whatever you're doing. So if I'm in Gardant, I'll grab my back sword. So I'm constantly moving around, and when I'm attacked, I agonise for years. Do you make your parry on a step with the right foot or with the left foot? And now I think it really doesn't matter. Your body's been telling you which way to walk for decades.
Yeah.
Just if my weight's on the front foot, I move the back foot. If my weight's on the back foot, I move the front foot, and I just keep moving. But it doesn't matter whether it's a left or a right-hander. I think you still want to circle left. You still want to.
Interesting you say that, Stephen, because one of the things I tell, from my experience and what I tell people for like years, is that it doesn't matter whether your opponent is left-handed or right-handed. You haven't got the luxury to worry about it, and if you do start worrying about it, every time you come up against a left-hander, you'll start doing things differently. And in a fight, you haven't got time for that. But it's also that if you start to just don't care, I don't care whether you're left-handed or right-handed. And that mindset then gives me the freedom to what you're saying, to just do what I know I need to do. So for me, the mindset should be, it doesn't matter if you're left-handed or you're
previously,
right.
I'd said, all right, when I'm up against a left-hander, I'll do a left leg forward, and when attacked, I'll come into the right, and that works. But it's you've sort of got to turn a switch in your brain. I'm up against a left-hander now, and
Admittedly, you can make those sorts of decisions a little bit further out of range, and then plot accordingly. And some of them, I mean, what William was saying about are you moving to the outside in each case? Well, your strategy is still the same, even though your implementation is going to be different whether they're left or right-handed. So
and I understand the concept of wanting to move to the outside because you're moving away from the grappling hand, moving away from the dagger, moving away from the buckler. But I think it's more important to move under the sword. And the principle Silver says, let all your gatherings in that fight be to your enemy's right, i.e. to your left. And if I'm moving this way and I'm parrying, I'm choking this blow up before it's entered into its full force, unquote. And if I'm moving this way, Silver explicitly says if I move to the right, it's a false time. So if I'm trying to parry this side of my body, if I'm stationary, this is how far my sword has to move. Right? If I move to the left, this is how far my sword has to move. So it's half the distance. If I move to the right, my sword suddenly has to move 1.5 bodies width. So by moving to the right, I'm just increasing the time it's going to take me to parry. So, and I see a lot of things. I see a lot of things in Silver where he's trying to, if you move the feet correctly, the amount of time, the amount of distance you have to move your hand is reduced. And that's always a good thing, because when somebody starts to move their hand, I'm thinking, beauty, all right, while you're moving your hand, I'm moving my sword somewhere else.
So there you have it. I think Stephen Hand makes a very cogent case for moving under your sword, that is gathering to your left, your opponent's right, if you are a right-hander and you are in True Gardant. Should a left-hander in True Gardant do the same? That is, move under their sword, which for a lefty would mean moving to their right. And what about other lines? I am not settled in my mind yet whether I should, as a right-handed fencer in open fight or variable fight, be moving to my left, as Silver recommends, or whether I would be better to follow the intentions of Silver's instructions by moving to my opponent's outside line. Or does that just offer the opportunity for unnecessary confusion with no advantage? Clearly, I have much more frequent opportunities to face a left-handed fencer than many people, so that may be prejudicing my opinion. I hope you will pick up these questions and run with them. Perhaps that will justify a second video, or perhaps we will look at the topic again in our next live stream, which Michael tells me we should be doing in early summer. If you found this interesting, like, comment, please comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications, and we'll see you on the flip side. This is the usual disclaimer. As most of you know, I've been studying the true fight of George Silver for about 3.5 years now. I am not an expert. I'm just a student trying to share the resources that I have found helpful and the conclusions that I have reached so far. I rely heavily upon the expertise of those who have gone before, and I intend to credit their works and opinions whenever I reference them. If I have failed to do so, or you feel that I have misrepresented or misattributed your views, or failed to state that a certain erroneous view is entirely my own, please let me know in the comments or privately, and I will endeavor to make corrections and amends in a subsequent video. All errors are, of course, entirely my own. Like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you on the flip side.